15 minutes of game day uncensored, brought to you by the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Here's a Dolphins injury report for today, fellas. It was just released. We know Jalen Phillips, he has been moved to the IR. I'm going to start with the good news, okay? Here we go. Tron Armstead, he was limited yesterday in the walkthrough. Today, full practice for Tron Armstead.
That's good.
Odell Beckham Jr., we found out, he spoke to the media today. He said Mike McDaniel will let him know if he's going to end up playing or not. He'll have the final say. Odell Beckham Jr., full participant yesterday. Today, full participant again.
That's the sexy positive, but I don't know. I don't know, Josh. Hawks on this. Odell Beckham 3-finger catch New York Odell. I don't know if we still have that at all.
No, but when he was healthy in Baltimore, he was pretty productive. And for what the Dolphins, when they signed him, they needed a third guy.
Yeah.
He provides that. Like, he's not going to be someone who's relied upon as the go-to target. He's just someone who could take some pressure off Tyreek and Waddle. And obviously, with the injuries to guys like Craycraft and Malik Washington, who they were really excited about after the preseason, you know, they've been running out Grant DeBose and D. Eskridge and Robbie Chosen and, you know, Braxton Berrios, who's primarily a return guy, is like the third receiver. It's not working. So the sooner that Odell Beckham gets back, at the very least, it'll give him a little more size at the position too.
Yeah. You need to shop at Whole Foods, get some natural food or something. Everybody gets hurt.
Organic.
Was that not the knock on how Grier put this team together the last 3 years? You're relying on a lot of guys who, when they're healthy, are really good. But a lot of them get hurt a lot, and they have trouble staying on the field. Happened at the end of last season. It's happening again this season, and it's the guys that we were kind of warned about that this was an issue with.
Armstead is his whole career.
Yeah,
and
I mean, they knew that coming in. He's great when he plays, but he never plays.
And then we signed Bradley Chubb injured.
Right. Yeah,
well, we traded for him. We traded for him with the Broncos, and we knew like he had injury concerns. We knew
he had a major knee injury prior to us.
I was gonna say, I just remember when we traded for him, he was already talking about coming back from injury or something. Yeah, I was an injury guy. Like, I've came to that conclusion at 40. Like, I was an injury guy too, but you can't base your roster around that.
But I think the bigger frustration is not, I mean, yes, people are frustrated now, right? We're all playing the result, and it's easy to take the stance that we all are, crushing Grier for paying guys who get injured, or building a roster around a lot of your top talent who tends to get injured or has injury history. I think the more frustrating part is that they didn't plan accordingly and draft the right guys who would be able to step in and contribute immediately, or sign guys who would be able to contribute if your top guys went out. It starts with Tua Tagovailoa. We all know everybody feels like they should have had a better backup plan if Tua went down. It also goes to Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb this year. It goes to the cornerbacks. It goes to everybody. Poyer. Right. Jordan Poyer. Right. I mean, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that the most damning thing, you talk about playing the result, but questioning the skill of the offensive line and the quality of the offensive line is just something that people in Dolphins media, Dolphins fans have been doing since even before Channing played for the team. And Chris Grier, like, I can't get the quote out of my head of him essentially laughing in the face of the media who asked him about offensive line concerns. And then to see this kind of performance the first 4 games, it's pretty damning. Like, I think Liam Eichenberg, if Liam Eichenberg is your swing offensive lineman who you bring off the bench when somebody gets hurt, I think that's a fine role for him. What's not a fine role is, what is this, year 3 for Liam Eichenberg? Like, we're still doing the Liam Eichenberg thing. Like, it's enough. Like,
it's everything, right? Because they drafted Austin Jackson to be their left tackle. Yes. He couldn't. He was a project. Okay, he's right tackle. They drafted Liam Eichenberg. No, he has, but he's not playing the position they drafted him for. They drafted Liam Eichenberg, same thing. Well, he can't play on the outside, so let's just find a spot for him. Okay, we'll put him in the middle. But your 2 best tackles, Tron Armstead and Austin Jackson, are hurt. So Austin Jackson had to leave the game the other day. Teron Armstead left the game the other day against Seattle. And all of a sudden, you literally can't run to the outside because your tackles aren't out there. And the guys on the interior outside of your center who's been okay, in Aaron Brewer, you can't rely on them, especially when they don't have the help on the outside.
I think people talked about Christian Wilkins and that being a huge loss for the Dolphins defense, and it was, but I think generally they're okay there. The bigger loss, and I don't know how many have talked about it, and not that they were going to spend this kind of money to keep him, but losing Robert Hunt on the offensive line. You want to talk about swinging, pulling guards and getting outside. That dude is an athlete. Did you see the block he had? I think it was the Bengal game, or maybe the week before.
A couple weeks ago,
where he Michael Ower blindsided a guy basically into the bench, like 15, 20 yards downfield. The guy's an animal, and he was out of their price range of what they could afford. But his absence on this offensive line, they lose some of that snarl. They lose some of that toughness. They lose some of that athleticism. The dude can play, and he's not here anymore. I think that's a bigger loss than people are making it out.
Are they not addressing these problems? We knew Teron Armstead is not going to play 16 games and 17 games now with the change. But it was Austin Jackson was supposed to be that guy. He couldn't even play that side of the ball. Now we have Patrick Paul. He went in the game a couple weeks ago, and everybody panicked. He hadn't played a snap all year. Then you have a Robert Hunt. So think about it. Austin Jackson and Patrick Paul, you have a Robert Hunt. You hit a home run on a guard, but you can't keep him around financially because you have the other guys there. This is as we're speaking right now, this is a Chris Grier issue.
Yeah.
Because you have a great player you can't keep. You have other guys that are supposed to be able to play that can't even play, and that's the problem with the offensive line. Josh, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I don't think you were on at the time because you're always on with us. But, like, the two guys that I could say were solid Dolphin offensive linemen, we text now about business proposals. Mike Pouncey and Vernon Carey.
Give some respect to Jake Long and Tim Ruddy.
Tim Ruddy. Just give it, Jake Long grabbed me one time, and he picked me up with one hand and dumped me on the back of my neck. Jake was so strong. Before he got hurt, Jake Long was about to be Jonathan Ogden.
Yeah.
But just think about that, like talking about solid Dolphin offensive line. You're talking about historic, like going back. Name me somebody other than Mike Pouncey or Vernon Carey that were here for 8, 10, 11 years that really was holding down the offensive line. I'm waiting for names. Jake Grove?
He was like a year or two. Remember Justin Smiley?
Justin Smiley? That was the 08. That was the Wildcat.
Yeah.
I know all my boys. I know those guys. There's a Richie. Are we talking about Richie Incognito right now? Like, come on, man. We've had some questionable O-line for a long time.
And I think that to answer your question, Crowder, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like they ran it back with the same group except for Patrick Paul on the offensive line. It's still Kendall Lamb. It's still Robert Jones. Yeah. Isaiah Wynn when he comes back. I mean, Aaron Brewer, obviously they had to replace Connor Williams.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not good enough. Like the plan can't be to go into another season with Liam Eichenberg penciled in as a starter. Like that's unacceptable. It really is. And you look at a team like the Chiefs who had to pay Mahomes, they had to pay other guys. That defense was a bunch of no-name guys, and they were able to find them and plug them in. And the Dolphins haven't been able to do that.
And the most frustrating part about the Chris Grier comment, because he could have approached that differently. Tobin and I were laughing about this on Game Day Uncensored. There was literally no reason for him to say what he did. You know what I mean? Like, He could have just taken the route that they always take, which is, hey, we have faith in this group. We feel like this group can, continue to get better, which is what every GM would say about every position group, and you wouldn't have thought anything of it, right? It's just, but for whatever reason, he decided to, like, scoff at the media.
It was so condescending.
And he gave us that material for no reason. Like, he didn't have to do that. But
you guys are way more worried about it than we are.
Right. Okay.
I mean, what are we doing?
Okay. All right. Just to round out the
problem's not a problem till it's a problem to some people.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's been a problem for years.
It's called foresight.
And
let's look ahead a little bit.
You guys introduced the topic earlier, just about whether it's McDaniel, whether it's Tua, but like a lot of last year's success. And what masks some of the issues on the offensive line were just how the system works with Tua and how quickly he gets rid of it. They were not a drop back. Tua's going to sit there, pat the ball, and go through. It was ball snapped, play action, ball snapped, balls out. Like that's how the offense was. There were very few, 5-step drops where Tua's just standing back there. That's just not how so it masked a lot of their pass blocking issues up front. So.
No, it's every game last year. You watch it on TV. There's a stat. Tua's release was the fastest in the NFL.
Yeah,
2.3 seconds, 2.8 seconds. Like they would put it up and say he has the fastest release in the NFL. Obviously, it was working with the number 3 scoring, number 1, total, yards per game. Like it was working with Tua. I saw the last 2 games that Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, and Snoop Huntley cannot get rid of the ball that fast, and then they give up safeties in the fourth quarter because of it in the end zone. It's a flawed system with people that can't play in it.
Yeah, it really is. Let me finish up this injury report. We'll wrap up Game Day Uncensored. When we come back for the 5 o'clock Funky Buddha Happy Hour, we'll talk more about the Miami Dolphins and what the consensus is outside of South Florida about their issues. And it's pretty clear, hey, McDaniel needs Tua. But let me wrap this up really quickly because there's some more good news. Cam Smith, another full practice today for him. And Jeff Wilson Jr., who got hurt in warmups on Monday Night Football versus Tennessee, had to miss the game. He also had a full day of practice. Jordan Poyer, DNP. So that's not looking good. Braxton Berrios, David Long Jr., Raheem Mostert, Emmanuel Ogbah, Duke Riley, Skyler, Malik Washington. All of them were limited in practice today. So that is your Dolphins injury report. As for the Patriots, by the way, David Andrews, their center, Kyle Duggar, safety, KJ Osborne, wide receiver, and Caden Wallace, a tackle. None of them participated yesterday. None of them participated today. Their injury report, believe it or not, longer than the Miami Dolphins. So hard times in New England.
They're going to run the ball 45 times on Sunday.
Yep. Ramondre Stevenson is literally going to get 50 carries in that game.
Watch this.
It's going to be Antonio Gibson because Ramondre has fumbled the ball at least once in every game this year. And I think they benched him in their last game, and Antonio Gibson started to get most of the carries. We might see a lot more Antonio Gibson than Stevenson because of those fumble issues.
If I change my fantasy team with Antonio Gibson and he doesn't get the ball, Josh, me and you have to wrestle.
Yeah, because I also have Ramondre Stevenson, and I was about to go pick up, what's his name, Antonio Gibson?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Former Washington commander?
Yeah. All right. That's on Appel, ladies and gentlemen. You pick that dude up on your fantasy team, and he gives you a big donut, you know who to tweet at Josh Appel.